Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Market Update. I am your host, Larry McCain with American Financial Network. Thank you again for tuning in, folks. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's truly a joy. It is actually my pleasure to be able to connect with you over social media, over video, over the airwaves. You know, I was thinking about this before coming on. You know, back when I was a young lad and learning business, we had to travel to different locales, convention centers, San Francisco, San Jose, different places that we would commute to see and connect with folks and to get great instruction. Well, it's a game changer now, as you know, with the internet, with video, as I mentioned earlier, we can connect with folks all over the world. I've traveled all over the world. I've been to different places, China, Hong Kong, Philippines. I mean, I've been all over the world, all over the country. I have folks even in Japan following and connecting with me. Of course, folks in the Philippines, I've been there before and all over. And so social media, video, I love it. It allows me to expand. And those of you who know me, you know I love to connect with people. So thank you again for tuning in, folks. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And of course, whenever and wherever you're watching this, we're in Easter weekend, Good Friday. If you're watching this on Friday, wishing you a good Friday. A time of remembrance, a time of peace, a time of just reflection, really giving of oneself. That was really Christ's, the whole message, turning the other cheek, you know, walking the higher road, giving of oneself. I mean, even at the time of Passover, knowing, just using the Judeo-Christian history there, knowing that you were being betrayed, at the place, having a meal during those times, how significant that was. And to giving of yourself and time, and your betrayer is still there, but still saying how much you love them and that you mean what they mean to you. You know, their goodness, what it means to you. You know, that's a message that the world needs today, especially over in Europe. The world needs that message, and America, it needs that message. You know, we have too much of, when we get towards political season, we see the divisions everywhere, and it's so sad, when we're really all one people. And that's what Easter symbolizes, working together. We had Palm Sunday, of course, Passover, we had Good Friday, and then we have everything that's all wrapped up into Easter, the resurrection. And so let this weekend, I challenge you to recharge yourself, let your new being come out. Let when the weekend finishes through, when Monday shows up, there's a transformation inside of you as well, that you're going to walk this week a better person, a different person, that you're going to see those who you can connect with and help. And that, the person who cuts you off on the highway, you're just going to say, hey, you know what, I'll pray for that person. They need to get to work or wherever they need to get to in a faster pace. Really just practicing goodness. We really need that. So as we walk into Easter, I want to celebrate that with you and encourage you to take this time to spark what's necessary, spark that goodness inside of you, so that our society, it emanates from you and it just spreads out to everyone around you. All right, folks, let's dive right into it and get right into the market. Let's first talk about, of course, interest rates. We are at a whole different paradigm right now. As you know, interest rates have been hovering in the 5% land for quite some time now. 5% is here. 5% is here. In fact, the rate you're being quoted today, if you're being quoted by a lender, and naturally you remember when the rates were in the 4s, in the 3s, and you're like thinking, well, is it still a good time? Folks, listen, this is the cheapest money will be for you right now. The days of 2.7, 3%, of course, long gone. So you've got to be strategic and you've got to plan for what is happening right now. And of course, with that 8.5% inflation rate, that puts a lot of pressure on the economy. Things are just out of control. As you can see, fuel costs, food costs, I mean, all costs are going up. And so the Fed managers, I'm going to put a graphic up there in just a moment. The Fed managers back in early March, there was a 25 basis points increase, or 0.25% increase. And back then, Britain, actually the UK, they took a more aggressive stand and they went 75 basis points, or 3/4 of a point of an interest rate, a move up in their rates to curtail inflation. Still waiting for their numbers to see what it's looking like for March. But for us, we're still seeing, I mentioned 8.5%. And so there is word, there's a graphic, there is word, and they're already putting it into the psyche that not only will we see 0.5% rate increase, we'll see two, one possibly in May and another one in June. That's 1 full percent increase. So right now we're averaging what, 5.1, 5.2, add another percent to that, folks, 6%. It's not far off. It's not far off. So it's nothing to be alarmed about. I've had conversations with a lot of borrowers as of late, and there a lot of them panic thinking, oh my God, 6%, this guy's falling, what we're gonna do? And again, one of the beauties about the human experience is experience. And so I go back to the 80s when my parents were looking to purchase a home. Interest rates were 18%, 14%, 60%. There was no such thing as first-time home buyer programs. You had 20% to put down, or you weren't getting a home, or unless you were getting a private finance. 18%. When I bought my first home, it was an adjustable rate. It was actually start off at 6 and went to 7, and eventually to 8. And of course, I was able to refi out of that into something that was more palatable. But these are not uncommon, uncharted territories in terms of rates. So you just have to get yourself adjusted to it. That's the way the Fed is looking at policy changes in order to get a hold of inflation. What does that mean for you? Well, very simple. If you've been sitting on the sideline, you got to get off. There's my contact information right there. Give me a call, send me a text, connect with me any way you can. I talk to folks from everywhere. I was talking to a client in New York, had some questions about, some commercial property and some other things that they were looking at naturally. And so no matter where you're located, I can help you. I can give you some insight. Again, as I stated earlier, money right now is the cheapest it's going to be. And so what you're going to see is as we move more towards the summer, I just mentioned that the Fed is looking to be very hawkish, 2.5 point increases. Could be by June, could be by July. May not happen until the end of the year. You never know, but they're already talking about it. What does that mean to you? It is time to get off the sideline. We're seeing it. We're seeing more folks. We've been helping more folks who've been sitting on the sideline. More people have been calling us because they've been heeding the call. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you who've been referring folks to us. I appreciate you. That's our lifeblood. We appreciate you. We are so gracious. This is the time. Don't wait. Once we get to the 6s and above, it's a whole different market at that point. And really, it's going to be the well-qualified buyer who's going to be looking at purchasing. So if you're on the margins, or you were thinking about it, you were concerned, or anything, whatever it is, any question you may have, there is my contact number, folks. Give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, send me a DM. Anyway, as my branch manager would say, carrier pigeon, find a way to connect with me, and I will help you in making a decision towards getting a great rate for your home. All right, let's pivot over to the real estate market. We are in March, we saw a lot more inventory. We're seeing that upward tick. We were anticipating more inventory in March. And so I have some numbers there to show you that information. And so that graphic there, so you can take a look at it. We did see more inventory, and we're hopeful that, that is the normal trend. As you can see from that, from the chart line there, as we get into the spring and head into the summer, we see more and more inventory traditionally. Naturally, during the COVID years, a little bit more of a challenge as folks are trying to figure out work situations, figure out, where they're going to move, how they're going to, where they're going to, cash out, all those different things that were going on. But we've found a sense of normalcy to some degree when it comes to COVID and how that's going to work out. In fact, those folks who are working remote, keep your eyes open. Your employer is going to be making some calls here pretty soon. But I'll tell you, it's in terms of inventory we're heading in a better direction. Super excited about that. In terms of sales, these charts that I put up here, again, I'm always going to mention Ryan Lundquist, appraiser extraordinaire here in Sacramento. His information's up there. I only follow people who know facts, who do their homework. And because I was taught that in college and taught that in life, and that's what I do. And his numbers match my numbers. And so I can always rely on him. If you're not following him, follow him. It's very good. You'll get tons of good information. But getting back to this chart here, as you can see, the majority of the homes are still selling above list price. In fact, more than half of the homes are selling above list price, at least 10%. It's still a very healthy market. We're seeing that for our buyers on both sides. Helping out my wife's team, I'm seeing that. Of course, when it comes to being the lender for the team and others, we're seeing that as well. You've got to be very aggressive. I like to say you got to go hard in the paint if you want, using a basketball metaphor, being that we're into the NBA playoffs, if you want to get your offer accepted. What does that mean? As I mentioned here, I show in the charts there, we're, more than half the homes are getting, they're selling for at least 10% above list. Do the math. That's where we're still at. My wife had a listing here not too long ago, and you're talking, a couple dozen plus in offers. It's still a very strong market for a very strong home. So really come prepared. Really come prepared. I'm going to show you this chart here in terms of the median price here in Sacramento. Again, another chart by Ryan. We're trending in an upward direction, 18%. It's not the 20% that we were seeing from 2020 to 2021. This was forecasted that we will be 19 and below. And so, we're looking at those numbers shrinking, but still accelerating. So as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, higher interest rates still increase in home price. No, we're not going the opposite direction. So again, with money being cheap right now, you got to make a choice, or you're going to find it's going to be more expensive and you're going to get less home as you get into it. And of course, there's some good useful information there, as you can see. I love what Ryan does, what he puts together. Very useful information for the public. He's picked up, of course, in the local news and everything else. Good stuff. Good things happen for good people. I love that. And so again, if you're looking to track good information, see his information there. The market's very healthy, folks. If you're looking to get pre-approved, there's my contact information. I have great agent partners all over the country. So no matter where you're at, I can connect you with someone, and that way they can help you find the home that you are looking for. And of course, in closing, I always want to leave you with something very uplifting, very motivating, and something to think about until the next time we get a chance to connect together. And I'm going to throw this image on the screen. And it's very apropos. 6 months now, you will either have 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress. True. My assistant actually sent this to me. It's something I live by, and it was actually very timely. We had a client, unfortunately, who just could not make the fear was right there, and it prevented them from making the move they needed to make. And it was very unfortunate because we see that happen all the time. And we're human. Things like that happen. I wish they could see from my lens what that looks like. Again, I have folks years ago, I've been in this business for quite some time, and they just, was not able to get past fear. Anything that holds you in this lifetime, that grips you with fear, you've got to break. We have one shot here in this reality, folks. One shot. That is it. And a lot of folks don't realize that, they're not living their dreams until they're well into their years, and then they're frustrated. In fact, that's why we have the issues that we have today. People are frustrated. They've aged into a point and they don't like where things are at. Young folks, take this from me. You can seize and take control of your life right now. All you have to do is set great intentions and set your course. And no matter what age you're at, you can be 50, 60, 70. All you have to do is stop and pivot, make a 45-degree turn, and walk in a different direction. That's how it is. 45 to 90 to 180, and then you go in a whole total different direction. And so I encourage you all, folks, make progress in your life. You live once. Make progress. Enjoy life. What do they say? Eat the cake and drink this and jump that. I mean, the whole analogy is just to live. So as we of course head through this Easter weekend, I want to encourage you to live a good life. Be out there, be brave, be courageous, and live the life that you were destined to live. Thank you again, folks, for tuning in to The Market Update. I'm your host, Larry McCain with American Financial Network. Again, I thank you for tuning in. I want to wish you all a happy Easter weekend. Enjoy your families, love everyone, folks. And listen, do not get used to what's happening over in Europe. Pray for Ukraine. Pray for Ukraine. Pray for Ukraine. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.